Welcome back, everyone, to today's Explainer. We're doing something really fun today. We're taking the worst offenders, the words we all overuse, and transforming your basic rough-cut vocabulary into a totally polished, cinematic masterpiece. So if you've ever felt like your English is, stuck in black and white, well, today we are officially upgrading you to high definition.
All right, let's just dive right in with a question that literally every English learner faces when they're trying to sound a bit more authoritative. Tell me, do you find yourself leaning on the exact same words over and over again? Yeah, it's a super common trap, but honestly, breaking out of it, that's the secret sauce to true fluency.
And let's be super clear about the stakes here, right? Having a massive vocabulary isn't just some cool party trick. No, it is absolutely the fastest way to understand native speakers, totally ace that IELTS exam, crush your job interviews, and just generally level up in your professional life. We're going to take the ordinary and make it extraordinary.
Okay, scene 1, the vocabulary upgrade. So, consider the basic word show. Look, it's fine. It totally does the job. But if you upgrade that to demonstrate, boom, you instantly elevate your authority. You aren't just showing something, you are providing undeniable, rock-solid proof. Just listen to this in context. The data clearly demonstrated the trend. Try saying that out loud to yourself and just feel the difference. It instantly makes the whole sentence sound so much more authoritative. That is exactly what an IELTS examiner or a hiring manager is waiting to hear.
Okay, how about this one? Instead of saying you want to make better, say you want to refine. To refine something implies you're improving it with incredible detail, precision, and care. It's basically the difference between a quick, cheap fix and a master craftsman at work.
The process was refined for efficiency. Notice how adding the Y, which in this case is for efficiency, gives the sentence such a strong purpose. It makes the refined process sound like a massive cinematic achievement, something highly calculated and, perfectly executed.
All right, let's rapid fire through a few more common culprits. Instead of improve, use enhance, especially if you're talking about design or user experience. Swap think about for consider when you're weighing your options. Replace talk about with discuss. Instead of saying mostly, go with the much more academic predominantly. And finally, elevate say to state, which you'll see a lot in formal written stuff. Honestly, every single one of these swaps is like an instant power-up.
Moving right along to Scene 2, the professional workspace.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the absolute finality of the word depleted. Sure, you could say you used up the budget, but depleted, that means it is completely 100% gone. Whether it's the environment, your energy after a crazy long week, or corporate funds, when they are depleted, there is literally nothing left. It paints a really vivid, serious picture.
Oh, and here is an absolute essential for the office. Swap possible for feasible. Notice that long E sound, feasible. It perfectly describes something that's practically achievable, like it's feasible to complete the project by Friday. It doesn't just mean it can happen in some alternate universe. It means it is a realistic, practical goal.
Let's polish up a few more of these workplace staples. Instead of boss, say employer for a much more official tone. A successful meeting is great, but a fruitful meeting? That means it brought tangible results. Now, if you tell a designer you changed their work, they might actually get a little offended. But saying you modified it, that implies a small, precise edit. Swap get rid of for the much more permanent eliminate, and definitely upgrade live to reside for any official documents.
Up next, Scene 3, directing the action.
Let's contrast bad with a much heavier, much more impactful word, detrimental. Look, we aren't talking about a bad movie or a bad haircut here. Detrimental is specifically used to describe really harmful effects, usually regarding health or serious corporate policies. It carries real weight. Smoking has detrimental effects on health. Do you hear the gravity in that? Using a word like detrimental instead of bad in a job interview, or say when you're taking your IELTS, immediately signals to whoever is listening that you operate at a highly advanced level of English.
Now, the absolutely crucial point with these action words is their intensity level. An attempt implies a much more serious effort than a simple try. Instead of telling a client to go to the next page, asking them to proceed sounds incredibly professional. You don't hear about a fall in demand on the financial news, right? You hear about a sharp decline. And boost implies a massive, super helpful increase, much stronger than just saying increase.
All right, Let's get into Scene 4, Analysis and Investigation.
So, the everyday phrasal verb look into is totally fine for casual chats, like I'll look into it. Sure. But look at how it's instantly transformed into official, formal language with the word investigate. The company is investigating the problem. Wow. It sounds systematic, thorough, and highly professional.
Oh man, I absolutely love this word, scrutinize. I really want to emphasize the sheer intensity of this term. You aren't just reading a document. When you scrutinize something, you are judging it deeply to discover its flaws. It's like you're examining it under a microscope. It is a fantastic word to drop when you're describing how you handle sensitive data or complex contracts.
Here are the analytical upgrades you absolutely need. Instead of tell the truth, use confess, which relates specifically to admitting guilt, whether that's forced internally or externally. Scientists don't just look at things, right? They observe. Rather than find out, you discover. When you're identifying where something is, locate it instead of finding it. And instead of casually checking out a new project, inspect it carefully.
And finally, Scene 5, your final polish.
Let's contrast think of with devise. I mean, you can think of what you want for dinner, but you use this advanced word devise specifically when determining a brand new complex plan, like a marketing strategy. He devised a new marketing strategy. That just sounds brilliant, doesn't it?
Let's lock in these final nuances. You don't just explain, you provide precise details to clarify. You don't just finish a report, you officially finalize it. Don't just say people have different backgrounds, say they have diverse backgrounds. Instead of modern, use contemporary, which is a term heavily used in real estate and design. And finally, expertise. Expertise isn't just experience, it is high-level skill that you've gained through intense, dedicated practice.
So we could tell you to just keep going with your vocabulary journey, but let's actually practice what we preach here. Will you persist in your English journey? Will you take these advanced cinematic synonyms out of this explainer and bring them into your next interview, your next exam, or your next boardroom meeting? The words you choose literally define the reality you project. So, which word will you choose next?